Hi, it's Chad with Heirloom Farm and Forge, and today we're going to talk about how to get bees for freeze. So this is honeycomb, and this kind's made on a frame to go in a box, but in the wild they build something real similar to this. And in the springtime, the queen starts ramping up her egg laying, and she'll lay anywhere from 1,500 to 2,500 eggs a day inside these little cells. And in 3 days, those eggs will hatch into a larvae. And in 21 days total, a worker bee will emerge and start working in the colony. So if she lays 1,500 to 2,500 eggs a day, then their population is going to grow really fast. And so that box or hollow tree or whatever they're living in start getting real crowded in 21 days. And then every day thereafter, if 1,500 to 2,500 new bees emerge, then it's not too long before that hive is going to be full, too many bees. And that signals the natural reproductive cycle of a honeybee colony to swarm, which means the queen and half of the bees will leave their home and start a new colony. So you look at honeybees as a super organism. Each individual bees can't do much, but a whole colony of, say, 60,000 bees, pretty amazing once you study them and how they work. So we're going to try to take advantage of that swarming instinct that happens in the spring. And when those bees swarm and leave their home, I want them to find their new home in one of my swarm traps. And then I can put them in a box, and I got free bees. And the reality of it is that only a certain percentage of swarms are going to survive. And so the thought is that we'll give them a lot better chance of surviving by being in my beehive where I can take care of them than if they were to make a home in the wild. At least that's the thought. So let me show you how we get free bees. This is what I do for swarm traps. I built this box. It's a 6 frame. And then I have extra room at the bottom here. It's not really quite as big as they recommend. So I'm going to take my box here and I'm going to put in an old dark brood comb. Really smells like bees. I'm going to put it in the far back. That gives them the smell of bees and also a place for the queen to start laying right away. I'm going to give them a sheet of foundation. And that gives them something to do right when they get there. And then 3 empty foundationless frames. To fill it out. We've got this little turnstile deal on here so that I can leave it open, obviously, for them to get into the swarm trap. Once I realize there's a swarm in there, I would go at night when they're all in there and turn it to the vented section, take it down and bring it back and put it into a hive box at my apiary. I've got a little cotton pad in here inside of a Ziploc bag. What I'm going to do is take some Swarm Commander, which you can use lemongrass oil, but I like Swarm Commander. And I'm going to put one good spray on there. A lot of people go overboard on the Swarm Commander. In fact, I did too last year. And I had a swarm that found my box and started building comb on the side. My thought was they found it and they really liked it, but it was too strong in there because I'd sprayed 2 squirts of Swarm Commander in there. And they liked it, but they weren't going to go inside because the smell was too strong. You got to remember, bees' sense of smell is way better than ours. And so I think the smell was just overwhelming for them, and they started building comb on the side. and then had decided that they're not going to move in there before I found it. So I'm going to close this off mostly and just leave about an inch not closed off so that that smell is still there, and it just gently, slowly leaks out into the box, the smell, and the bees can smell it, but it doesn't overwhelm them. So I'm going to take the frame out and just throw this in the bottom. And I put these 3 empty frames in there so that it seems like there's a lot more space in there for them. And for the lid, I just use screws and screw the lid on. You could somehow manufacture a, easily removable cover, but I just screw it on. So let's go get this thing out in the woods. Last year I had this old brood comb in a swarm trap. It gets a little too far gone, although it really does smell like beehive. So what you want to find is the edge of a timber, and even better than that, the corner of a timber block with open space around it. So what we got right here is a tree right on the corner, and here's basically like a runway of where we pushed out some timber to build a new fence. And then this way we have kind of a runway that goes back east, and this way a little small cleared area, and this way a whole bunch of big open field which also has timber around it. So this direction is facing east, this direction is south, and as you can see, I've backed my Ranger right up to this tree right on the corner of all of it, and that'll be a perfect place to put a swarm trap. Turns out I don't need the Ranger backed up to it, because a good place to put it is only this high. You want it pretty level. Didn't bring a level, but I can eyeball it and see that it's level enough. And really the nail is just for ease of hanging, because it'd be pretty hard to hold it and ratchet strap it at the same time. Not that it can't be done. And then this ratchet strap, I have what I call the worst ratchet strap ever made. Comes from a big box store, and I bought a pack of them, and I can't ever seem to get rid of them. I don't throw them away, even though I hate them terribly, but they're green and they come from a big box store. So I figure this is going to be a perfect place to use them, because I'll probably strap them and unstrap them about twice a year, maybe, if I catch 2 swarms. And then I'll throw them in my swarm trap kit and never use them again until next year. Hook them on the side. And also I'm facing this thing south, a little bit southeast, which south or east is fine. You don't really want to face it west or north. East is good because the morning sun shines through and wakes them up, and also helps warm up the hive. And south is good for the same reason, because we're in the northern hemisphere, and so the sun will also shine there. Most of our storms come from the west, so I don't want it facing west. I don't want it facing north, because if we do get another cold snap, the north wind is going to be blowing right in the entrance. Tighten this thing up. She's ready to go. 15-foot high is the ideal height, but then you got to have a ladder, and you got to try to wrestle that thing up there on top of a ladder, and so it's much safer to do it down here where you can reach it. Now, besides the benefit of just getting bees for free, also there's a chance you're going to be catching wild bees, which have acclimated to our area and to the wild, and hopefully they will be hygienic against varroa mites. Of course, you never know, you could be catching your neighbor's bees, but I mean that's fine too. They're free bees. But if you can catch a wild colony that's adapted to varroa mites in the wild, that'll be a good win. If you got any kind of value out of this video, or would you consider subscribing to my channel and give us a like? We do all sorts of stuff: homesteading, blacksmithing, cattle, pigs, chickens, trees, just all sorts of stuff has to do with the farm. So I appreciate you guys watching, and come back and see us again next time.